is probably something that we shouldn't try to do in this piece of legislation. That the stimulus package that I've been advocating for months now is not necessarily something that we should have in this package. And my hope is that Senator McCain is going to be talking to Republicans and sending them the same message, that there are some issues that they may be concerned about or things that are priorities for them. But what we shouldn't do is to try to get everything done in this package. What we should be doing is following the clear principles that taxpayers are protected, that we have oversight, that taxpayers are going to get their money back, and that the housing crisis is going to be dealt with as well.
Do you have any plans to change your decision to stay here in Florida? Are you still going to stay here in Florida and prepare for the debate, or are you thinking of going back to Washington?
You know, what I'm going to do is what I've told the leadership in Congress is that if I can be helpful, then I am prepared to be anywhere, anytime. What I think is important, though, is that we don't suddenly infuse Capitol Hill with presidential politics at a time when we're in the middle of some very delicate and difficult negotiations. So, I think the message is, if you need us, if I can be helpful, I'm prepared to be there at any point. But keep in mind, again, I'm talking to Nancy Pelosi, Harry Reid, the congressional leadership, Hank Paulson. I'm talking to them every single day. We've been working around the clock, and presidents are going to have to deal with more than one thing at a time. It's not necessary for us to think that we can only do one thing and suspend everything else.
So if this package whenever this package is put together, do you think it's appropriate for both you and Senator McCain to be in Washington to actually vote on it?
My sense is, because of the delicate nature of the negotiations and the controversy surrounding how this thing may be structured, that it may be necessary for both of us to be present to send a strong message that, in fact, we need to get something done. Now, keep in mind, I continue to insist that this package contain the conditions that I've set forth. Because, again, I don't think those are Democratic or Republican conditions. I think they're the conditions that the American people want to see before they pony up the amount of money that's being asked for by the administration.
Senator, will you go to Oxford on Friday? Will this debate go forward?
I believe that we should continue to have the debate. I think that it makes sense for us to present ourselves before the American people, to talk about the nature of the problems that we're having in our financial system, to talk about how it relates to our global standing in the world, what implications it has for our national security, how it relates to critical questions like the war in Iraq and Afghanistan. And, obviously, if it turns out that we need to be in Washington, we've both got big planes. We've painted our slogans on the sides of them. They can get us from Washington, D.C. to Mississippi fairly quickly.
Senator, do you think that this is a problem of such magnitude that you should suspend your campaigning, pull your ads off the air, not do any campaign events?
I think it's very important that the American people see the people who potentially could be in charge of this problem over the next, within the next couple of months. And so my attitude is that we need to be focused on solving the problem, as I've been over the last several days. But I think it is also important that we communicate to the American people where we need to go in getting us out of this situation. And again, I think it's possible for us to do both. Yeah,
Senator McCain has suspended his campaign ads and fundraisers and stuff. You're not going to match that at all?
Well, keep in mind, what I'm planning to do right now is debate on Friday, and that's what I'm preparing to do. Well, there are only 2 days between now and, as I said before, you can talk to my staff, but my general view is that the American people need to know what it is that we plan to do in moving the economy forward. Okay. Yeah.
Given that apparently there was some degree of non-communication between your campaign and McCain's over this, do you think a joint statement now will do any good? Are you still interested in pursuing that?
Well, I've done what Senator McCain and I discussed we were going to do. What I've done is that I have instructed my staff to communicate with them. They have communicated with them. I think making sure that we have a statement that lays out the principles, the conditions of a package that would make sense from a bipartisan perspective, I think could still serve an important purpose.
Just to get back to Jeff's question a little bit, when you heard the news McCain suspended his campaign and that he might not go to the debate, were you shocked? And what was your reaction? And do you think that this is a political decision?
I think you should direct that to Senator McCain. I mean, I think that the conversation we had was cordial. I think we both agreed that this was a very important issue that we had to deal with. I proposed putting out the joint statement, and he concurred with that. He then said, I would actually also like to look at us potentially suspending campaigns and pushing debates off. What I suggested to him was, well, why don't we get the joint statement out first, and our staffs will discuss this. I think the only possible miscommunication might have been how quickly there was an announcement and somebody was on television. I think probably my assumption was that the joint statement would go out initially.
Last question. Senator, did you object to the idea when you talked to him that I don't think we should postpone the debate, we need to go forward?
What I told him was I think what we should do is figure out what we need to do that would be helpful, and let's get this statement out first. But look, let's be clear. Senator McCain is running his campaign. I'm running mine. I think that given the fierce competition of this election and the enormous stakes involved, that the fact that both parties agree that we need to focus on this problem on Capitol Hill and that this is an issue that should transcend the typical day-to-day politics, I think that's an important statement. And it's one that I'm glad to be a party to, because one of the things that we have to be clear with the American people about is that this is a serious problem. We need to solve it. But I think the American people also need to understand that it can be solved, that, in fact, there are a set of principles out there that will allow taxpayers to have some protection, will allow homeowners to get the help that they need, will make sure that we get through this immediate emergency. And then there are going to be a whole host of structural issues that still have to be dealt with by the next administration. And I don't want us to lose sight of that. Even before the most recent Wall Street crisis, we had a problem with a healthcare system that was broken. We had a problem with jobs that were being shipped overseas. We've lost well over 600,000 jobs since the beginning of this year. Young people are still trying to figure out how to go to college. So there are a whole host of issues that we're going to have to deal with beyond this immediate crisis. But I think it's important to recognize that we do have a problem on our hands. Let's solve this problem. Let's assist the administration in getting it right. And then let's make sure that we continue to present to the American people our ideas for how we're going to restore the economy, not just in the short term, but also in the long term, so it works for Main Street and not just Wall Street. All right?
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.